My ex-wife, who cheated on me and walked out on our family years ago, showed up at my doorstep with another man's child, asking to reconcile and be a family again. I didn't hesitate. I slammed the door in her face. Hello, Reddit eyes plus here. When I heard the knock on my door that night, I wasn't expecting anything unusual. It was late, the kids were in bed, and I had just sat down with a glass of whiskey and a book. But as I opened the door, my world tilted on its axis. There she was. Rachel, my ex-wife, the woman who had walked out of our lives 5 years ago, leaving me to raise our 2 kids alone. But she wasn't alone. Standing beside her, clutching her hand, was a little girl, maybe 3, with big brown eyes that reminded me of my daughter at that age. Logan, Rachel started, her voice trembling. I made a mistake. I want to come home. I want us to be a family again. I froze, my mind racing. This was the same woman who had packed her bags without a word, chasing after another man like we were nothing. She had broken our family, shattered my trust, and disappeared. And now, she was back. Who's the kid? I asked, my voice cold and unfamiliar even to myself. She's my daughter, Rachel said quietly. But Logan, I've realized I made a mistake. I was young, selfish, and I didn't see what I had. I want to make it right. The audacity. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She thought she could waltz back in after all this time, with another man's child, and I'd just… What? Forget everything? I glanced back into the house, where my kids were sleeping soundly, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing at the front door. Those kids had cried themselves to sleep for months after she left. I had held them, consoled them, and promised them we'd be okay. I had built a life for us from the ground up, without her. And now, she wanted to come back? I'm sorry, Rachel whispered, tears streaming down her face. I know I hurt you, but I'm ready to be the wife and mother you and the kids deserve. Please, Logan, give me another chance. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I once loved was gone, replaced by a stranger begging for a second chance. My heart was a fortress now, fortified by years of betrayal and abandonment. No, I said firmly. You made your choice. We've moved on, and you don't get to rewrite history just because it didn't go the way you planned. Rachel sobbed, and the little girl clung to her leg, wide-eyed and silent. I felt a pang of pity for the child. None of this was her fault. But I wasn't going to let that pity undo everything I had worked for. Before Rachel could say another word, I stepped back and shut the door. The sound of the lock clicking into place felt final, like the ending of a chapter I had no intention of reopening. That night, I sat in the quiet house, the weight of what had happened pressing down on me. My kids would never know what I had done to protect them from the chaos their mother brought to our doorstep. Rachel had made her choices, and so had I. And for the first time in years, I felt at peace knowing I had done what was best for my family. The family she abandoned, but I refused to let fall apart.